Hello everyone, this is Nether Trey and welcome to episode 12 of Nether Trey's Let's Play of Modded Minecraft version 1.21. Today I want to do what I said I was going to do, and that is start doing auto crafting for our AE system. We are going to need a bunch of glass to do that. We do have a bunch of glass, but I would like to make sure that we don't run out halfway through this. So what I want to do is actually speed up the sag mill so that I can make sand faster. In order to do that, we're going to need to make the next tier of capacitor. We'll probably even make the one after that. So let's go ahead and get a bunch of these right away. The energetic alloy is the next tier of Ender IO. So let's go ahead and grab one more of these guys, and then that's going to be used to make the vibrant alloy, which is actually pretty easy. So let's get some ender pearls while we're at it. So ender, we'll just take that. Well, we should probably just speed up this guy too, which means we're gonna need about 8 of these, I want to say, in order to make 2 energetic capacitors, because the capacitors, these guys each take 2, but they're also each going to take 2 of these, which is okay. So this might be a little bit. I'm going to let this run and make all this energetic out. You know what I'm actually going to do? I know I keep changing my mind. I'm kind of all over the place. I'm going to go ahead and make the vibrant one of these guys, or the double layer capacitors. We do need coal dust. How much coal do we have? Bunch. All right, let's go ahead and get that going. So this guy, this is the sand we got cooking up, but we do need a little bit of coal. Let's get a bunch of that going. We actually probably don't need that whole stack, but that's fine. We'll need it eventually. So then let's go back to our capacitor. We do need 2 of these guys, and then that'll make us 1 of these. That is gonna make this machine go just a bit faster. So if we take this and replace him there, that'll leave us with this extra capacitor. We might as well turn him into a double layer. Of course, we gotta eat like usual. All right, another double layer is gonna require 1 more of these. And then this guy, we might need some better cables soon, because this is charging up pretty slowly. But if we go ahead then and take these and throw them back in here and let them keep going, you'll see it's going quite a bit faster now, which is awesome. We're going to need 2 more of those double layer capacitors. Do I have enough of this guy? All right, double layer capacitors. So we're gonna need 2 of those and 2 more of those, and that'll get us to 2 more of those, and then plus the one in there is our 4th one. So we can use these. Actually, we're gonna need the vibrant alloy. Let's take these. Gonna need 4 of these. These are gonna be, yeah, they're supposed to be a little bit slower, but I guess they don't really look that much slower yet. And there's 4 of those. Then we can put these guys back in here and let them keep going for a while. Then we should be able to make this guy. Octadic capacitor. We'll go ahead and just replace him right away. And that'll leave us with our other 2. And that'll be the one for the sag mill. So now we should be able to make, oh yeah, look at that. We should be able to make glass much faster. We actually don't need all this. Let's just go back to this. Awesome. We're also gonna need some dark steel grinding balls. So let's go ahead and make 5 of those. We're gonna need obsidian. It's been a while since we made these. We're gonna need iron. I also want to put this somewhere. We're not going to need sulfur for a while, so we'll just throw it in there. So obsidian, iron, and some of that coal powder. Do we still have? Yeah, we got tons of that. Then those are all done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of those. Where did our obsidian and 5 iron? And that should make us the 5 dark steel we need. Yeah, we're burning through these dark steel grinding balls really fast. Let's get those out of there. Okay, we still have the crafting table in our backpack, which is handy. And there we go. Then of course we can take all of this sand and smelt that up into glass. Looks like our power's holding on, but yeah, we might want to upgrade these cables. They don't transmit very much, and we're starting to get pretty power hungry. So now that we have that, let's get started on our auto crafting system for applied energistics. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of start building it here. So in order to have an auto crafting system with applied energistics, you're going to need a couple blocks. You're going to need crafting storages. You're going to need co-processors. Let's see. I would like to do a 16K crafting storage. That would be awesome to start with. So in order to make that, we need that, which means we're back to the old. We need 9 of these guys. What did we run out of? Ran out of logic processors? Really? Did I just not ever turn these into... Okay, I threw them up here. So what we need, what we're short on is silicone, which is why we actually needed sand. So do I have... I thought I had... I just threw a bunch of sand in, right? Yeah. So now that we have a bunch of sand, let's do the silicone, this guy. We'll do as many of these as we can. We actually want to do the one with the nether quartz. So there we got like 60. So that's going to make like 240 of these, which will be awesome. Get our glass out of here. And now that we've got all these, do we even have room to take all these? No. And then we're going to need to make silicone blocks. Are these 9? Yeah. So which one of these does it matter? Probably this one. And then if we take these and put them in here, that should make us a whole bunch of silicone. Printed silicone. Throw those in there and continue making our logic processors. We do need more acceleration cards. So let's make... That's calculation processors, which is going to be Certus. We do have 4 blocks already made here, so we can throw those in there. Look at all that. That's so awesome. Let's go ahead and swap these out for a second. And then we're making acceleration cards. We do have 2 acceleration cards not being used, actually. So really we only need 2 more acceleration, which means we need 2 of those, and then that'll make 2 of these. Cool. Now we should be at full speed making processors. Put these guys back in here and finish up those. We're going to need some redstone. Can we do some more of these just so that they're done? We need redstone. All right, so we've got a bunch of the logic processors. That should be enough to continue on our way. So we had 7, we needed 2 more of these guys. All right, and then we are going to continue on our way to our 16K crafting storage, which means we're going to need 3 of these. Oop, ran out of something. Bunch of this glass. need one more of these. And then that should get us our 16K, which we can then turn into a crafting storage, which that's pretty easy to make. And then we combine those two to make a 16K crafting storage. So now that we have a 16K crafting storage, which we are gonna put, I think we're just gonna put it right here. That should be fine. We're also going to make a coprocessor. How do you spell that? So coprocessor is just an engineering circuit with a crafting unit. And that just makes it so that we can do an additional craft at the same time. We're going to connect it to that guy. That will give our system the ability to do auto crafting. The next thing we're going to need, though, is a terminal to help us with the auto crafting. So if we look at our terminals, we're going to need a pattern encoding terminal, which is going to take an ME terminal along with this crafting table and a circuit that we already have. So that's our pattern encoding terminal, and we're going to put that right here. I do need another piece of cable. Get out of the way, advancement. Actually, we're going to put this one right here. This is going to be the one that allows us to encode our patterns. But we also need one that allows us to put our patterns into our pattern providers. So we're actually going to do another terminal. And that one's called ME Pattern Access Terminal. So for that, we're going to need another illuminated panel. We'll make some more of those. And then we're going to need a pattern provider of some kind. We'll just do the regular one. We are going to need two more of these guys. We're going to need, we don't want to make these advanced ones. They're too expensive. We're going to make formation cores, and we're going to make logic core or formation cores, annihilation cores, excuse me. And then that will allow us to make our pattern provider. And then with our pattern provider, along with that, we can make our ME pattern access terminal. And that is going to go here. Our encoding terminal is going to go here. And this is basically the core of our crafting setup. So now, in order to make something auto-craftable, we're going to need to make patterns. And we're also going to need a block that actually performs the crafting. So that block is called a molecular assembler. We need another crafting table. We'll make a molecular assembler here. We're going to go ahead and jump up here. We're going to stick this guy, I think, right here, so that he has power from the system. But then he's basically a crafting table for applied energistics. And we're gonna use him to craft things. But in order to do that, we need another pattern provider, which is this guy. We should have most of what we need to, that's an extended one, to make this. Oh, I guess we ran out again. So two more crafting tables. These annihilation cores and formation cores are going to be like one of the first things that we automate. So now that we have those, we can make the pattern provider. And then we're going to go ahead and stick that guy right here. And he's going to provide patterns to this guy to craft things for us. So the patterns are made in this terminal. The first thing we're going to do is make an actual pattern. Let's see, what are they called? Blank patterns. So we're going to make a bunch of those. We're going to throw those in here, right here. And then there's 4 different types of crafting patterns we can make. Regular crafting patterns, things that you make in a crafting table. Processing patterns are patterns that tell machines what resources to use to make certain items. Smithing table and stone cutter. Right now we're just going to do a crafting pattern because the first thing we want to know how to make is a blank pattern, which is easy from JEI is clicking it and putting it in here, and then we're going to tell that to write it to this pattern. Now there's two ways we can put this pattern in our system now. We can physically go here and put it in, and then when we go into our system, that jetpack is just way too fast. You can see now we have the option to craft blank patterns. If I type blank pattern here, also you can change this on the side so that it shows stored items, craftable items, or stored and craftable items. I always leave it on both. If I have no patterns in my system, which I don't, and I click that, it's going to ask me how many I want to craft. This craft makes 2 at a time, so if I tell it I want 1, it's going to make 2 anyway, so I'll just tell it that I make 1. It's going to tell me what I'm missing. I'm missing quartz glass. So quartz glass is this guy right here. We're going to throw him in. We're going to turn him into a pattern as well. And we are going to put that in here. But instead of putting it directly in here like we did this one, I'm going to go down to my little terminal here, and you can see the molecular assembler is connected to the system and also the circuit slicer. And that's because I put this pattern provider here in the last episode. So let's go ahead and put this crafting pattern right here because it's made in the molecular assembler. And now we know how to make glass. Then if we go in here, and we tell it that we want a blank pattern, and I click 1 and hit next, it's going to tell me that it has everything it needs because it's just going to craft that quartz since it knows how to make it now. So I'm going to hit start. It's going to make 2 blank patterns and they're going to show up right here. So that's our first crafting recipe complete. The next thing that I want to do is teach the system how to make a bunch of stuff that we make a lot of. The first thing is going to be circuits. So if we tell the system that we want to make a pattern with a machine, so we go into a processing pattern, we go over here, we type in circuits, we click on here, we go to circuit slicer and we click encode pattern. It's going to say that basically what this does is it's going to tell the system, hey, if you put a block of gold into this block next to me, it's going to give back printed logic circuits. It's going to give 9 of them. All right, so we're going to take that pattern, we're going to go here, we're going to throw that pattern in here, we're going to go over here to our system. You can see now we have automated logic circuits. We don't have any, so it just has a little plus. If I tell it I want 1, it's going to make 9 because that's all it knows how to do. If I hit that and hit start, you'll see that this is like flashing and glowing, and that's because even though this system has already made it, it hasn't gone back into the system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to auto export, and that's going to push this back, and I'm going to push it into this guy, and that is going to push it back into the system. So now we have those 9 printed logic circuits, and it's happy. So now we're able to make those. We also want to be able to make the other circuits. So let's talk about printed calculation circuits. Let's talk about printed engineering circuits. And there's also concurrent circuits and energy circuits that are from other add-ons to applied Energistics, but we aren't ready for those yet, so they're not available. We also want to do the printed silicone. So if we click this and go here and do that, that will also make 9 of those. Then we can go into here into our circuit slicer, and we can say we want to know how to make silicone, engineering circuits, and calculation circuits. So we should be able to craft all of those just by asking the system for them without having to move anything ourselves. Cool. So the next thing we're going to do is teach the system how to turn those into the actual processors. And the way we're going to do that is we have to get another pattern provider feeding into this guy. And I think the way I want to do that is, well, actually, let's go ahead and teach the system how to make pattern providers, because we're going to need a lot of those. So let's go ahead, put this in here, teach it that. In order to make that, it's going to need those formation cores and annihilation cores that I was talking about. So that's 2 more patterns we're going to need. So then let's go over here. These are all made in this guy. Then if we tell the system that we want an ME pattern provider, it's going to say we're missing crafting tables. That's another thing we need to teach the system how to make. So let's go ahead and make that. And as you can see, we're going to quickly fill this up. And it's not going to have any room for any more patterns. And what we're going to have to do is make more of those, or we can make extended pattern providers, which I would rather do. Let's see what it takes to make those. Are we able to make those? So these are made with concurrent processors. That is one that we haven't learned how to make yet. It's probably not real hard. They can be made. You know what I just realized? We might be able to make all these processors in the crystal assembler 4 at a time. Let's actually do that. Let's get rid of this guy. We don't need this inscriber anymore. And let's make a pattern provider. And then we can use that pattern provider, right? Instead of this cable, we'll get rid of that and we'll stick a pattern provider there. And then now that we have the crystal assembler with a pattern provider, we should be able to tell the system, let's do logic circuits. Oh, we're out of blank patterns, so let's go ahead and make some blank patterns. Let's make like, can we make 32? No, we need a whole bunch of Certus dust. So to get that going, actually, is there a better way to make Certus dust? No, maybe we can do that too. Inscriber. I mean, we can do them in the sag mill, so let's just take a bunch of it and throw it in the sag mill. That'll get us a bunch of dust pretty quickly. All right, now we've got a whole bunch of Certus dust. So now if we want to make blank patterns, we should be able to do a bunch of those fairly quickly. All right, 32 should last us a little while. Let's go ahead and put these guys in here. Then we're going to make this pattern. We're gonna put it right here. We're gonna make sure that this guy is set to auto export and hope that it doesn't push anything to the wrong place. So now if we do logic processors, if you middle click, even if you have stuff in your system, if you middle click, it'll go into the crafting screen. So let's do 9 of these. It's saying we're missing a block of silicone. Oh, it actually is taking the wrong block of silicone. So let's go to our pattern that we already made for the printed silicone. And let's go back in here and we should be able to see this again. We don't want that block of silicone. We want this block of silicone, and then we can repattern that. And then in order to make that block of silicone, we're just going to tell the system you're going to do that with 9 of these. We'll make, except we want to be on, there we go. That's going to take that. Then we can go in here and put our patterns. So we want to be able to make the silicone blocks, and then we want to be able to do the circuit slicer like this. Now we're going to go ahead and tell the system that we want logic circuits. Let's do 9 of those. Now it's saying it's missing silicone because it doesn't know how to make silicone. That's going to be a little more complicated because silicone is made in a furnace with either surface quartz dust or that quartz blend. We can automate that, but we're not going to do it right now. So instead, what I'm just going to do is tell the system how to make the silicone blend. The quartz blend, and we're going to do the recipe with the another quartz powder, just like that. And then that's a crafting recipe, so we're going to put that there. What I would like to do is make an extended, let's make an extended pattern provider. That's the one where we need the concurrent processors. In order to make those, you need a block, an intro block. Yeah. It did throw them back in the system, so that's fine. I want those processors though, or those circuits. So we got the 4 concurrent circuits. We can throw them in here along with 4 pieces of redstone and 4 of these guys, and that should make 4 concurrent processors. And then with those, can I make an extended pattern provider? So we need 3 crafting tables, 3 capacity cards, a pattern provider. We can make a pattern provider. Okay, and we're gonna put him in here, these in here. Where's the extended pattern provider? All right, so we need 3 crafting tables, 6 cables. Of course, we're 1 short on the Fluix cables, but we can just make a couple more, that's fine. And then the extended pattern provider needs 3 capacity cards. So this is something we should teach our system how to make also, as these cards, but we're running out of room for crafts, so we're not going to do that right now. The 3 capacity cards, we'll take those, we'll put them here. Is that everything? Yeah. Well, you know what? This only took 1 of those concurrent processors. That's fine. Throw that in the system. Now we have an extended pattern provider, which means we can actually take this guy. I'm not going to have enough space in my inventory. Can I dump a bunch of stuff? Don't need these. I don't need this guy. I don't need these or these or these. All right, that should be enough space to get us through. Then if we take this pattern provider and all the patterns and we do the extended pattern provider, we can then throw all these guys back in here. and we've got so much more space all in one block. We also have another one of these guys left over, which means we could make a second one of those, which I am gonna do here real quick. So I'm actually, since we have the room now, I'm actually gonna teach the system how to make these. I want to wait till it gets to the right block there. That one. Okay. So that is going to go in behind here. This should actually be an extended pattern provider too. Then if I ask the system to make one of these, what is it going to say that I need? It needs to know how to make Fluix cables, which is this guy. Oops, let's go in here. We can teach our system how to make Fluix cables. Then the next thing is oak planks. It doesn't know how to make oak planks, so let's take our logs, make sure we're in crafting. Yep, and now it knows how to make oak planks. Then the next thing is needs to know how to make capacity cards. So capacity cards are made with these cards, which we can teach the system, and then the capacity card we can also teach the system. I don't want it to be charged. Good. Okay. Then we put this in here and we put this in here. Now, if I tell you to make this, you need a calculation processor, which I did not teach him how to make yet. So we want to make sure we're in processing mode. Get rid of that, and we want this guy. And then that goes in here. Actually, let's swap these around. So the system now should know how to make calculation processors. If I want to make this guy now, it says he needs to know how to make a block of Certus. So we're just going to kind of keep going through this step by step, little crafting, until we're able to make this whole block. So that should be, Certus is only a 2x2. And then we go here, throw this in here. Cool. Again, extend it. Now it says it has everything it needs. Yay. So then if I do that, I should see that it's made one of these. Oh, you know what it did wrong though? It tried to do two patterns at the same time. So we actually want to make this not push if it's still working on something else. So let's go ahead and, why did it not push these out? Oh, so our crafting processor is currently busy because our system is still expecting those to come back into the system. For whatever reason, they didn't push into the system. When I give it that, it'll start going again. It's not. Oh, because I didn't set it where to push to. Okay, so now it should be pushing into the system. And then we have our extended pattern provider. So if I take this guy and I put him there, we now have twice the space. Then if I go in here and I try this again, let's see what happens. Is it going to be happy and behave this time? Looks like it. Is it waiting? It's waiting on something. Oh, it's crafting. Oh, okay, it crafted everything. And yeah, it was perfect that time. You can also throw that in the system. And then this guy can go here. As long as they're next to this molecular assembler, they'll all use them. And we've got tons of space for crafting patterns now. The problem we're probably going to find now is that this guy is being overloaded. So what we could do is he can actually take 2, 3, 4, 5 acceleration cards. Did we teach those yet? Doesn't look like it. So let's go in here. These are actually a different tier of card than those other ones, so we're gonna have to do that, and then we can do that. And then we should be able to put these in here. Right, yep. And then if we do this and 5, it should be happy. And 5. Cool. Then we go up to this guy and make sure he's got 5. And now our crafting should be super fast. Cool. So that's the basics of crafting with applied energistics. We also want to teach the system how to make those intro seeds. Oops. So we want to go here and actually make a pattern. So intro seeds. And then we also wanted to know how to make ender pearl dust. Is there a way? The sag mill is the only way to do that. So is there another option? I can't believe it would require a sag mill to make these. So the applied energistics ones are made only in an inscriber. That's kind of annoying. So I think we will end up using the sag mill. But yeah, for now, we're just gonna make sure that our system knows how to make these seeds as a crafting recipe, because we're gonna need that to more automate this guy. We're also gonna teach our system how to make fluix blocks, because that's the other thing this is gonna need. Oops, I did not mean to do that. I always go in the wrong one. Make a pattern. Our system can now make fluix blocks, and with that we should be able to fully automate this guy. So what I'm going to do actually is make a little path through here. And then what I would like to do is run a cable probably here. Probably gonna have to go underneath this guy. I don't like how these, you'd think you would, but I don't like how these cables, you can walk right through them. Because I'm so used to expecting not to. So let's go like this, connect that there to this controller block. Then here we have to go down. We're gonna want to put blocks into the block placer and the advanced clicker. So I think we are gonna have to go the whole way around here. We're gonna want to go right here. Okay, and then we're gonna need 2 things. We're gonna need an export bus. I'm actually gonna need 2 export buses, but I don't want to use up all my resources dumping all the stuff into those blocks. So we're gonna use, is it a precise export bus? I think might be what we need. Let's teach our system how to make export buses, because they're pretty important. Or maybe it's stock export bus. We're gonna do a stock export bus. Let's actually do the export bus recipe, which means we're gonna need to know how to make pistons too. Yeah, so there and there, and then let's make the stock export bus. Try that one, see if that's the right one. So now if I do ME stock export bus, we have everything, so that's great. It made it almost instantly awesome. We're going to, so the block placer, we want this to make, we only want it to keep 1 in here, which it's not going to do because there's none in the system. What we do want to do is a crafting card, which will allow this to use our crafting system, which is also something that we should automate for sure. So crafting card, actually really easy. Get one of those guys. So this will allow our system to craft the things that it's requesting. So if we go like that, it should craft and place, yep, one Fluix block in here. So there will always be exactly one in here for when it needs to be placed. We're also going to do the same thing up here in the advanced clicker for the seeds. So let's go ahead and do intro seeds. No, we want an export bus. Stock export bus. Go ahead and make that guy. We do need an intro seed, actually. Well, no, we don't. I keep forgetting, in the older versions of Minecraft, you actually had to actually have the item on you in order to tell these systems what to do. But now with JEI, you can actually just drag it from over here. So intro seed right there. We're gonna want, I want to say 2 in there at a time. This one we actually probably should have 2 in a time too, just so that there's always one in there for whatever reason. So this needs a crafting card as well. Wrong thing, goes in here. So now that should be able to craft intro seeds from our system and place them in here. There they go. And it used it right away to turn the Fluix block into a budding, and it's going to start this again. So now this is a fully automated system, with the exception that we may run out of resources to make the seeds and the blocks. I do want to close this up. Can we, like that? Okay, and then there's actually a cool door that you can put on these from the frame blocks mod. Let's go ahead. Do we have any frame blocks? Oh yeah, we got a bunch of them. Let's just do it right here. If I take a frame door and I place it right here, and then I take these wall blocks and I go like this, you actually can't even tell that the door is there, which is awesome. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, I think, since we have a bunch of these doors now anyway. Boop. Cool. So the next thing I think we're going to want to work on is, I hear music. There's something near us that has a backpack with a jukebox in it. Actually, you know what? There's an upgrade that I want to get that will help us with this problem. Wait, where am I going? And it's called the mob scanner, I want to say. Yeah, so we need spider eyes for that, which only takes generalized overworld predictions. Oh, and red mushrooms. All right, so now that we've got a mushroom, we should be able to handle these 2 spider eyes. Gonna need one of these guys. Oh, no room in our system again. So upgrade a mob scanner, and that goes where? Is it the helmet? Oh, is it the sword? Yeah. All right, so this is our first sword upgrade, so that's cool. And then, oh, I guess you just right click. But of course, I changed dimensions so the mobs despawned and now it's not making that noise anymore. Whatever. Use it next time. Anyway, now that we've got our doors installed, we've got this completely automated, we've got that automated, we've got crafting going. Let me decide on what I want to work on next. All right, so what I want to work on next is pretty obvious, actually. We're keep running out of room in our drive here. I think we're actually full again. We're at 62 out of 63 types. So I want to start automating the drives or cells, storage cells. So in order to do the first one. So what is it? 1K ME item storage cell. We need to know how to make these. And then with the 1Ks, we can make 4Ks. And then with the 4Ks, we can make 16Ks. And then with the 16Ks, we can make 64Ks. We want to go higher than that right now. I mean, there is only one more. It's the 256. So we might as well teach the system that. So let's go ahead and do 1. Nope, that's not 1. This is 1. This is 4. This is 16. This is 64. And this is 256. So can we now make a 256? Or do we not have enough resources for that? Where is it? Right here. We're missing not very much. A little bit of glowstone and some Certus quartz dust. So let's get the Certus quartz. Get that sagging up, and then in the meantime we can go to the nether and get some glowstone. Wow, this is the first time in a while I've seen one of these towers in the nether. I knew they spawned here, but they're very uncommon. Let's see what kind of junk this gives us. Feathers and iron, super exciting. Okay, so now we should be able to make this 256 guy. It will probably take a while. Well, maybe not. This is going to take like 8 seconds, which isn't too bad considering all the crafting it's doing. And that's mostly probably because I put all those speed upgrades in. It might... got hung up here for some reason. So if I look at how to make these guys. Oh yeah, that is not the right recipe. So let's fix that. Yeah, so if we put this guy, where did he go? Oh, I moved it down here somehow by accident. So if we put this guy here, and then we get rid of all this, and then we go here, and then here, this is the one we wanted. So it was waiting for the rest of the recipe that it didn't have. So that should be good now. Those in there, that'll craft, and then it'll continue on its merry way, and it should be good from there. If we keep watching this, is it hung up again? I think we're gonna cancel that. Oh, and then it ran out of storage. Let's take some stuff out of the system that doesn't need to be in here and is gonna cause us problems. So we'll take out our buckets. Okay, so now it's happy again. Let's try that again. 256K storage. It has everything it needs. Go. It says it should take about 2 or 3 seconds. And there we go. So now that we have that guy done, we should be able to use him to make a 256K storage. I would like this guy, which is going to require some netherite. So let me run to the nether and get this netherite, and I'll be back. I did also decide to go ahead and make the ore scanner upgrade for our pickaxe. And what that'll do, if we go to the nether and we start to look for, if we right click, what you're going to see is it's going to actually like make sparkles where there's ores in the world. So let's go to the nether. I want to go down. I believe that netherite scrap is found. Nope, it's called ancient debris. This is going to be found about Y level, what, 15 in the nether? So let's go down to 15. And now that we're at Y level 15, let's scan around, and small pockets of ores are sometimes going to be that ancient debris. So that's an inferium. That's not what we're looking for. There's a couple more. This is probably too much to be ancient debris. Yep, that's another inferium. Probably gonna find a lot of inferium around here. If we go back up here, there's a smaller one down there. Looks like it's probably also too much, but we'll find out. Yep, so that's dimensional shards. But I'm going to keep poking around like this looking for ancient debris, and once we have enough, I'll come back and let you know. Alright, so I've been wandering around the nether for probably close to an hour and found 4 netherite scrap. So I think we're going to start to do something about netherite. So let me get a plan together and we'll figure this out. Alright, so I think this is the plan. I think next episode we're going to get into mystical agriculture and get this going. I think this is going to be the easiest way. And I've been meaning to get into farming to deal with this food situation we got going on anyway. So I think I'm going to call that an episode for this time. And next time we'll come back and we'll start digging into mystical agriculture and get some more of that figured out. So thanks for joining me with this one, guys. Go ahead and give the video a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.